No fewer than 723 schools are reported to have been closed down in 9 states across the country due to insecurity and occupation of school premises by non-state actors, internally displaced persons, and others. According to the UNICEF Nations Children Fund, Safe School data from 2023, the states affected include Adamawa, Benue, Borno, Imo, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara states. Speaking of the importance of education to the children, the committee officer of UNICEF Enugu Field Office, Mrs. Ijoma Igwe, said education is a right of every child. It should not just happen to a child in Nigeria as a chance, but rather as a right. She further emphasized that government at all levels should do more to better protect and ensure that schools are safe for the next generation to be educated. With the protection, or rather with the projection coming from UNICEF, that the number of out-of-school children could further rise to about 23.17 million this year, and with children still kidnapped for ransom, with the recent case being that of Ekiti State, the federal government needs to do more to ensure that children are better protected and given the chance to learn, and not to prepare another generation of miscreants that will terrorize the nation on account of lack of education. But the big question and the big story for today is this administration having the blueprint to help shore up the numbers of available schools and in return more children being educated? And if not, what will be the likely consequence of such failure? Well, these and more as it concerns all about the problem associated with our school is what the big story is all about. And we're talking about, due to insecurity and others, number of schools closed in Nigeria increases. And that's what we're having as a major discourse today on the big story. We're looking at that very report coming from UNICEF that was released just the day before yesterday, indicating that 723 schools have been closed down in 9 states of the Federation. And not just that, that seems not to be the problem, but the increasing number of out-of-school children that might turn round and come to halt us. But anyway, we're not going round it, but we're going straight through it and to it. And that's why we have a guest in the studio with us right here, an educationist and also a social critic. I'm talking of no other person but Mr. Wilson Egboje. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, Michael Ray, and our listeners outside.
Well, anyway, let's just quickly go to it. A breakdown of the data from UNICEF indicates that about 26 schools were closed in Adamawa. I want us to give a total breakdown so they get a full understanding of the 723 schools that UNICEF said have been closed. Now, when I looked at that very report, I had to break it down. Adamawa had 26 schools closed. Benue had 28 of his school closed. Borno had one of the largest numbers, 72 schools closed. Imo, funny enough, which is even in the southern part of Nigeria, had about 62 schools closed. Katsina had 61. Kebbi, 68 schools. Sokoto, 115 schools closed. And also Yobe had 15 schools closed. Zamfara took the largest chunk, no surprise. 270 schools, 76 schools were all closed. And a careful look at these schools indicated that most of them were conflict areas. So no surprise we had them being closed. But my first question is, how really damning, because I know you went through that report, is this report from UNICEF, and should the federal government, or by extension Nigerians, be truly concerned about this very report? And is it more of a warning to us and a sign or to show that 723 schools were closed, and just imagine the out-of-school children as a result of this? So is it, I just need your reaction to this very report, and is it more like a warning sign?
Yeah. Well, I would say that Nigeria is sitting on a gunpowder keg.
We're already on the gunpowder pick.
No, we have not seen it. It's going to get worse. We have over 700 schools closed in the country. For the south, it may not be a serious problem. Like you mentioned, Imo State. If schools are closed in Imo State, we're talking about the public schools mainly.
Yes.
There's every likelihood that parents will take their children to private schools.
Okay.
Because they are
so alternatives are there.
Yeah, because they are eager to learn. Imo State has one of the highest literacy rates in the country.
Yeah, that's how I understand.
But for the North, they may not have the opportunity to go to private schools because private schools may not be many there. So, if so many students, many children in the North are not in school, all we can understand is that we're establishing a new breeding ground or breeding grounds for bandits. Because eventually, they will end up in the forests.
Water must get its level.
Yeah. Those who have been to, those who have been kidnapped before and were lucky to come out will tell you that the greatest torture they receive in the forest is from the youngsters. The old men, the elderly ones counsel the young ones, but they don't listen because they live on drugs. You can imagine allowing a 15-year-old child to carry an AK-47 in the forest. They whip people, they shoot indiscriminately, apart from firing into the air. They carry out their own public executions of hostages. So when you look at, when you follow up the analysis, you just find that the ripple effect of this UNICEF report will not be seen until another 10 years from now. Because these children who are supposed to be in the school, that are not in school now, will grow up to be young adults in the next 10
years.
to 15 years. So they have not started operation. They are still moving in the streets. They are out of school, but in the streets. In the next 10, 15 years, they would have been recruited for what they know is the most lucrative job in the North. They're going to be hostage takers. They're going to be executioners. Instead of being put into appropriate use that would benefit the public, they're not going to take the downside. They're going to wreak havoc to their community. You can understand what's going on in the North. For instance, somebody told me, I met a friend 2 weeks ago. He lives in Abuja. So I saw him in town. And I said, well, a few days ago I saw you, along the road. I know you are not, you don't come around often. And you are still around. You're always on a rocket jump. What's the state? He said, no, he's thinking of relocating back home. That the situation in Abuja has become another hell. That most of these politicians, most of these public figures that are benefiting from the system have relocated to Abuja because they are no longer bold enough to go to their homes, their country homes. So they built country homes in Abuja. All the comfort and all the relish they enjoy in Abuja. So these people have now decided that since they are no longer coming home and our market is dwindling, let us go and meet them. So they have moved to Abuja. They are in the forests around Abuja. They know the people that are from their place or their places who have put them in poverty. So what they do now is they map out the areas and the people to visit. This group will sell their people who are in particular areas to another group that do not know, another set of people that are not known to those people. They say, visit these ones, give us the ones we are going to visit for you. So they go to homes and they break the wall. They don't knock at any doors. They break the wall, move inside, take the children, take the wife, and then tell the man, we are going with them, we expect the ransom between so and so time. If we don't get it, whatever you see, manage it. So that's the dire situation that is prevailing right now in Abuja. What I'm trying to tell you is this. These people who are doing this now were out of school 10, 15 years ago, and nobody bothered. And let me tell you one other startling thing about these people we are dealing with. Many of these people could have been professors. Many of them could have been university lecturers. They are intelligent enough to be people of that status, but they were not given the opportunity. Now, the ingenuity that they ought to have used for development is now being used channeled to wreak havoc. If you look at the situation carefully, you are going to find that these boys who would have been doing very well in school but were denied because of the feudal system in the north. They were denied the opportunity. So now they are exposed to handsets. Even though they are not very well educated, that intelligence, that ingenuity is still in them. So they harness the use of the handsets, the cell phones, into another direction. And that is why they are very successful with kidnapping.
Anyway, we'll look at all of this because I'm a bit concerned, but I rather
every normal person should be concerned.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned, and I would rather stick with the report, because in that very report from UNICEF, I looked at it from sentence to sentence, had a critical look at that very report. It said, it indicated that non-state actors, like we call them, terrorists or bandits, were reported to have taken over 2 schools in Brunei.
That's an understatement.
Well, that's according to their report.
I know.
45 in Imo. 134 in Zamfara State. Go to those schools, these non-state actors, bandits and the rest, are occupying them. And I'm now forced to ask, is it that the federal government does not see this as a problem, or the problem is just beyond the federal government?
Yes.
Let's critically look at it.
Yeah.
UNICEF took their time, visited most of the schools, saw this problem, and is now bringing it to the knowledge of everyone. But you and I will totally understand and would agree that the federal government had detailed reports of all of this before now.
Yeah.
Through their different Ministry of Education and all of that gives them information. So it's not become to ask. Is this that the federal government will not see this as a problem, having these people occupy these places, or is it that the federal government is just so overwhelmed with the mirage of issues, hence this seems to be beyond them to handle?
Yeah. The first question one may want to even ask is, are these schools in the forest? Are the schools now occupied by bandits and hostage takers and kidnappers in the forest?
Of course not.
No, they are not. They are in the town.
So that's why I said the federal government does understand.
The federal government is overwhelmed. I did a report some time ago that made me to really go into details about this whole exercise of banditry, hostage taking, kidnapping, and all that is associated with it. And the governor, a former governor of Zamfara State, actually did a report. He sent out agencies to go and find out what was happening. And the startling revelation was that a lot of the brigandage that is going on is being sponsored by powerful Nigerians. a case is reported, when you ask the security agencies to go, they will tell you they cannot go, because they know that is the domain of not of a very powerful kidnapper, but of a particular politician, a powerful politician in their area, who is ready to derail at any time anybody that you send to go and tackle the situation. Assuming you succeed in going there with your team, by the time you return, you are marked down for elimination. That's the security agency that goes there. The leader of the team is marked down for elimination. Or, if they will not eliminate him, is marked down for dismissal.
Or transfer.
Or dismissal. Which transfer? Transfer to where?
But anyway, it's been alleged.
It's still a threat.
Yeah, it's still an allegation from this very former governor.
Yes.
At least, if not giving us proof.
No. The man gave out a lot of information. He gave out a lot of information. Because if eventually they get there and arrest people, you take them to the police station. They handle them with kid gloves, velvet gloves. Nothing tangible to make them uncomfortable is exercised on them. Beyond that, messages will come. So person that has been arrested, so person that is in detention must be released within the next 48 hours.
So all you are saying is the political will is the problem. Just like the politicians, or some politicians, as it's been alleged, are the ones sponsoring the political will.
Let me land. He leaves the police station, or is charged. If the case is pressed, he's charged, and then he gets to the court. It's either the magistrate or the high court judge is told to make sure that nothing happens to that person, that the person doesn't go to prison. I'm not going to say what are the conditions that will make that person to suspend that. First of all, is security, his own personal security. And after that, what do I get for this offer? You want me to set this person free? There's clear evidence that this man actually is culpable, in what has led to his arrest. What do I get? So you see a lot of settlements going on. The governor came up.
Yeah, go ahead.
The governor came up with this. I think a 238-page report that came from different agencies and presented to the governor. Still, nothing was done. So the governor himself said that he is helpless. So when you take a report
so that means you feel is way beyond what the government can do.
Yes, it's beyond the government. And the sponsors are so many. We have traditional rulers, top politicians, judges.
As it's been alleged.
As it's been alleged. Yes. It's really a lot of big shots are complicit in the whole thing. We'll discuss more.
No, we need to talk more, because I want us to look at, do you feel, because we're talking of this is way beyond what the federal government can handle.
Yeah.
So do you feel it's more like not having the political will to deal with it? Because there's no body and no institution that is bigger than the state anywhere in the world.
The political will is not there. The whole exercise is like a maze. It's like a tunnel. You enter a tunnel and you are chasing people. You enter a tunnel, like those ones the Hamas people have produced. I'm saying for the first time that, yes, the real picture of a tunnel, which we all have in some places in Nigeria, the real picture of a tunnel is amazing. Now, you are chasing criminals, and then you are in a tunnel, and you get to a point where you have six. One goes this way, another one goes this way, another one goes this way, and then behind them you have cops. So which one do you follow? You don't know whether the person who just left, the person you are chasing is somewhere there with a very dangerous weapon and they're going to kill you. That's what has resulted in so many casualties among the Israeli soldiers today.
Of course.
So many casualties, so many disabled, thousands disabled, that may not be useful again in life. Because of tunnels they ran into, and they came into this maze, and they don't know what to do. That's what is happening with the federal government. That is what's happening to the state government. And you look, if you cannot manage it at the federal level, there's no way you can manage it at the state level. Because there are people at the higher level that are complicit, that will not allow any of their motives to be unearthed, and they will do anything to frustrate the governor. So that's the situation, my brother. I know the governors to play their own horrible role, so that even at the federal level, they cannot manage. So it's vice versa. Everybody is afraid of the other one. What do I do? What do I do to be sure that I keep my head safe? So the federal government is overwhelmed. The state governments are also overwhelmed. If a state governor will give that kind of report and says, look, from all indications, I am helpless. There's not much I can do. The man has left office. Now, he has left office. I won't mention him.
Well, anyways, we will not have you mention his name, but we will not be helpless talking about this issue. But I'll plead with you to hold on. We need to go on a break now, but when we come back, more discussion centered on that very report coming from UNICEF, indicating that 723 schools have been closed in 9 states of the Federation, and not just only closed, but think about the huge number of out-of-school children on account of the closure of these schools, and what likely impact this will have in the next 10 years. Let's just wonder. Let's go on a break.